I was reading something from DWP at the time when they launched it, and they basically said that the 8% match contribution, which is the bog standard, plus state pension will get someone the minimum level of living standards as set out by the PLSA. So basically, you are existing. You've got no room for maneuver. You're basically poor. And they then said people will need to pay more or do more.
Yeah.
But then they just stopped, and they don't really publicize that information. So I think a lot of people think 8% has been created by policymakers, so it must be enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine. I'll just coast on that.
Yeah.
They don't have that conversation of, no, this is just to kind of get you the minimum.
Don't forget those policymakers are on defined benefit pension schemes.
I know.
And people think that a defined benefit pension scheme is worth at least 20%. So they're saying 8% for us, but their pension is much, much better. So maybe we should follow what they're doing with their own money.
Not to get too political, but in the recent budget, I think I noticed that the inheritance tax rules also don't apply to defined benefit schemes. Is that correct?
Well, they die with you.
Okay, do they? So is that why, like...
Yeah, it can go to my spouse.
I wanted to ask you this.
It can go to your spouse, but then it dies after that.
Okay, yeah, so that's why there's not the rule there. Because I was thinking, have they just screwed everyone with a DC pension and the DB ones?
Always keep your eyes open.
Yeah, because it's funny that, like you say, they're all the guys with the DB ones. Okay,
Yeah.
So I do just want to touch on that point again. We know that for some people it is hard and 1% might not be possible. So I'd like to look at other ways that you can have a small change that doesn't involve more money. And we've kind of talked around it there, but the default fund point, I think, is an important one.
Yeah, it's really important because it's luck of the draw which pension default fund you're in. And if that's you're getting the difference between, well, this is a very good example. So last week I did a cash flow model for a client, and at a 6% return, he had enough money till 100 for his lifestyle needs. And as I was saying earlier, I always do it at 4%. So then I changed it to 4%, and then the cut-off for when he'd run out of money was 85. So that's 2% a year, which sounds nothing, created a 15-year difference. This guy's in his late 30s, so that power of compounding really makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so Nest recently changed their fund lineup. The Sharia Fund, which is the one with the Islamic preferences, was the only 100% equity fund that they offered. So they've got 6 funds. And they've made it so that it's 30% bonds and something called Sukuk, which is like Islamic bonds. Mm-hmm. And I looked at this because I criticised them basically saying you don't offer 100% equity. So many people use that fund for that, not because they're Muslim. And I back-tested what the difference would be. It was 70-30 versus 100% equity. It's about 1.8% difference based on 100 years.
Well, there you go. That's a 15-year difference in retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was so 300 quid a month for, the average rate of return. If you were 20, so long, 46 years, it was coming out at like 3.4 million. But at the 70-30, it was coming out at 1.8. So it was costing like 2 million quid. Because they just tweaked the fund. And many people in that fund won't know that change. They don't know what that means. They don't understand that when they say we want to make it less risky, what they actually mean is we're we're sacrificing returns potentially to reduce volatility because we don't think that people like a wild ride.
No. Well, they're assuming for us, so that's why we've got to take control ourselves, I think.
This was a clip from our episode with Lisa Conway-Hughes, financial advisor. We talked about small changes you can make to make a big difference in your life. Check out the full episode right here.